Hello and welcome to this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture. This, of course, represents the first program for 2024. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Minister of Agriculture, on behalf of the entire staff of the Ministry of Agriculture, and on my own behalf, wish you all a happy, prosperous 2024. We certainly hope that your business of agriculture will take off. If it's already taken off, we certainly hope that it does even better in 2024. The Ministry of Agriculture is on this program reviewing the achievements of 2023. Minister Mustafa hosted his end-of-year press conference Friday last, and of course outlined all that was achieved in 2023. And of course you will hear about some of the plans for 2024. Of course, they will continue the modernization of the agriculture sector in all of its forms. All the business of agriculture, of course, you have agro-processing, downstream, value-added production. And so this is the focus of government for this year, in 2024. They're now working on the numbers for this year's budget. Of course, a big chunk of that will go towards the agriculture sector. $42 billion spent on the sector over the last year. And so this year, it's going to be a whole lot more for the agriculture sector as we seek to build on the achievements made so far in 2023. So tune in. We'll be back after these messages for a look at 2023 review of the agriculture sector.
Farmers and members of the public in general are being advised that tampering with drainage and irrigation structures in any way is prohibited under the Drainage and Irrigation Act. So too are practices that result in damage to access dams, such as using an inadequate length of tube to irrigate farmlands, resulting in erosion of the earthen dams. Also contrary to the Drainage and Irrigation Act is the practice of erecting structures or planting on government reserves. This will not be condoned. These reserves are to be clear at all times to provide access for the excavation of the channels. Livestock farmers should also be aware that they are liable for any damages caused by their cattle or swine to dams or reserves alongside D&I channels, as is the case when the animals cross these channels. Individuals wishing to erect bridges across D&I structures should first contact the NDIA before doing so. Those found guilty under the Act are liable to fines and imprisonment for up to 3 months. A message from the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Ministry of Agriculture.
The Ministry of Agriculture advises that persons desirous of importing animal products, such as meats, must first acquire a permit and/or no objection to do so from the Guyana Livestock Development Authority (GLDA). Prospective importers must fill out an application for import license form. This must be handed in to GLDA along with a quotation from the supplier of the products to be imported, as well as a certificate of origin of the commodity. Meat and meat products must be from approved countries, and in cases where this is not so, then that country must apply directly to the GLDA for a permission to export to Guyana. In this case, a risk assessment is then conducted by the GLDA in association with the Veterinary Public Health Unit of the Ministry of Health. At the time of the application to GLDA, the importer must also indicate his or her interest in this regard to the Veterinary Public Health Unit, which plays a critical role in determining whether the license to import will be granted or not. If the import is allowed, the importer is notified by the GLDA. A fee is payable before the permit is prepared and issued to the importer. It should be noted that meat or meat products imported without an import license will be seized and destroyed. For more information on this and other issues, contact the GLDA head office on 220-6556 or email glda1910@gmail.com. Visit our Facebook page and leave a comment.
The Ministry of Agriculture is warning members of the public that it is illegal to dump garbage of any kind near to or into drainage and irrigation waterways across the country. The NDIA, the agency tasked with the maintenance of drainage and irrigation in Guyana, has noted that there is an alarming increase in the incidence of garbage getting into DNI waterways and causing blockages in the first instance. But worse than that, the garbage that includes clothing, rotting carcasses, pieces of wood and metal gets past protective grills of the critical mobile and fixed pumps, resulting in damage to the pumps, which have to be taken out of service for repairs, placing communities at risk, especially during the rainy season. The Ministry of Agriculture notes that when this happens, millions have to be spent on repairs to the pumps and on clearing the canals of debris thrown there by irresponsible citizens. The ministry warns that rangers of the NDIA will be on the lookout for those engaging in this illegal practice. Persons caught will be made to face the full force of the law. A message from the NDIA Ministry of Agriculture.
"2023 is being described as a very good year for agriculture in Guyana. This is so despite it being the driest in years, with drought-like conditions posing serious challenges to farmers across the country. But these challenges were overcome due to the hard work and investment by government in the improvement and upgrades to drainage and irrigation structures in every region of Guyana. It is because of those investments that have been ongoing over the last 3 years that allowed for government to put systems in place to provide irrigation water to farmers, especially rice farmers who prepared lands for the first crop of 2024. Up to mid-November, farmers were still waiting on the expected end-of-year rains to complete land preparations and sow their paddy. By mid-December, these farmers were able to sow their lands with irrigation water facilitated by government through its various interventions. With all pump stations in full operation and drainage channels clear, both cash crop and rice farmers were able to access vital irrigation water in a timely manner. In all other sectors of agriculture, the story was the same, one of success in the advancement and, by extension, success in the business of agriculture in all of its forms. Speaking to reporters during his end-of-year press conference, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa described 2023 as challenging but satisfyingly rewarding. Reflecting on where he started when taking the reins of agriculture 3 years ago, the Agriculture Minister said the sector was in disarray. Production across the board was down. Fees for land rental and drainage and irrigation was through the roof, and the service farmers were paying exorbitant fees for were non-existent. Sugar estates had been closed, placing more than 7,000 men and women on the breadline, plunging entire communities into economic despair. The budget for agriculture, which was a healthy $19 billion in 2015, had been reduced to a paltry $13 billion by 2020. The evidence of this slash was clearly seen in the dilapidated DNI structures across the country, deplorable farm-to-market roads and dams that impacted the farmers' ability to get their produce out to the markets. Emergency budgets towards the end of 2020 and early in 2021 saw the start of the uphill task of rebuilding the agriculture sector, all while dealing with COVID and its particular challenges. First, the slashing of the land rental and DNI charges, especially in the area of MMA, ADA, from $15,000 to $3,500. Emergency funds towards clearing clogged drainage and irrigation channels and fix broken cookers and sluices. Things were moving quickly. But then came the rains of 2021 and flooding that wiped out crops and livestock in low-lying areas. It was the worst national disaster in years. Since then, the rebuilding process has been relentless. After the flood waters receded, it was time to rebuild. Flood relief to affected farmers was the first order of business. This was across the board, allowing farmers the ability and wherewithal to return to their lands once the water had receded, and return they did. When fertilizer prices rose due to the war in the Ukraine, government stepped in with help in the form of $1 billion worth of fertilizer for farmers. Minister Mustafa reflected on the scope of these interventions, pointing out that it demonstrated government's commitment to the development of agriculture in Guyana and the support of the nation's farmers in this regard.
And another factor we have to take into consideration, we took office in August of 2020, and in May of 2021, we were hit with one of the most devastating floods in the history of our country. we have seen almost 80% or over 80% of our agriculture sector were destroyed. Approximately, we suffer losses to the tune of approximately $37 billion in our country. So today I'm very proud to say that we have made many strides over the years, and we have seen over the last 3 years, we have seen a robust agriculture sector. We have seen once again a sector that is improving, that we are seeing growth. We are seeing where more and more people now have trust the system and are coming in drove in this sector, although we are an oil and gas producing country. And the last budget would have been, we have seen where the Minister of Finance would have shown the increase to our GDP from the agriculture sector, the non-oil sector. And the non-oil sector is being driven by the agriculture sector in terms of growth. And our commitment to the people of this country has been unwavering. I want to state upfront that in this sector, we have completed all our manifesto promises, and we are working a new commitment that we have set ourselves. And that is a tremendous achievement for us. You know for a fact that almost 82,000 farmers and households were affected with floods. We had to find money to get farmers to go back to the land as quickly as possible. The government at that time made $7.8 billion available, which was distributed to farmers, cash crop farmers, livestock farmers, rice farmers, people who had kitchen gardens, and then also we made, the government also through the Ministry of Agriculture, we made funds available to several sugar workers who had lost their job when the AP and UFC was in government. We also provide funds to fisher folks across the country. We give a one-off cash grant to fisher folks across the country. And a number of other help in terms of helping farmers with fertilizers, helping farmers with inputs and other chemicals were distributed free of cost to the farmers. So I'm happy to note that we are now moving in a direction where Guyana is considered as the leader in agriculture today in CARICOM. When I became Minister of Agriculture, we have lost that position in CARICOM. In 1973, when CARICOM was formed, Guyana always lead in agriculture. Today, once again, we are the shining light in agriculture with the leadership of His Excellency the President. And the entire Caribbean is looking forward to us to lead. And we have started to give that kind of leadership. Places like Barbados, whose economy was built on tourism, they want to get involved in agriculture, and we are now helping them technically to build their sector. Trinidad and Tobago, they want us to help them, and we have started to help them technically to rebuild their sector, and other Eastern Caribbean countries. So you could see the influence that we have made over this short period.
Looking back at the achievements of 2023, Minister Mustafa disclosed that there was significant growth and expansion in every aspect of agriculture, with sugar, rice, other crops and livestock all showing significant growth.
In 2023, we have seen an investment of $8.1 billion to continue the revitalization effort of the sugar industry. And I made this point 2 weeks ago in Parliament, that we will be seeing less and less dependency from the government in terms of Gaisuku, revitalizing and bring back Gaisuku to that point that we wanted to achieve. And this, we have seen a 22% decrease of funding that we have requested from the government compared to 2022. So 2023, we had $8.1 billion to continue the revitalization effort of the sugar industry. This reflects a decrease of 22% when compared to 2022. In keeping with its 2020 manifesto promise, one of the major achievements for sugar is the reopening of the Lusal estate. We have reopened this estate on the 20th of September 2023, and to date we have produced a total of 1,031 metric tons of sugar last year. Sugar production in 2023, we closed at 60,204 metric tons, a 28% or 13,155 metric ton increase in production when compared to 47,049 metric ton in 2022. The industry was able to replant or plant for 52% more land in 2023, a total of 4,020 hectares as compared to 2,640 hectares in 2022. We have seen a further 54% of sugar production was marketed as bagged or packaged sugar in 2023 as compared to 48% in 2022. We will be continue aggressively, and we have started that. And in the last supplementary request that we had in the National Assembly, I made that point that we are focusing heavily on mechanization and conversion project across the industry. We will convert over 5,000 hectares of land over the next 2 years so that we can have mechanization done in terms of mechanical harvesting and mechanical loading. We have commenced the construction of the Albion and Blaymont packaging plant to increase the production of value-added packaged sugar. And we have launched 2 new value-added packaged brands. One is the Albion Gem, and 2, the Demerara Gold Sugar Stick Sachet. To date, we have employed, from 2020, we have employed 4,692 new employees. The total employment, or the total number of workers in Gaisupo at the end of 2023 is 8,294. That is workforce. So that is for sugar, and you can see clearly that we are seeing a revitalization of the sugar industry. We are seeing more and more people are benefiting.
Turning to the rice sector, Minister Mustafa disclosed that paddy production increased by 7%, producing just under 1 million tons of paddy or more than 600 metric tons of rice.
In 2023, we saw an increase in paddy production by 7%, which translates to the production of 653,706 metric tons. That is a 43,111 metric ton increase in the production in 2023 compared to 2022 production of 610,595. So we have seen an increase in production. This is rice production, right? Rice production by 43,111 metric ton from last year to this year. Notably favorable weather condition or variety in the yield have increased from 6.2 tons to 6.3 tons per hectare. We earn approximately $45.2 billion in export, $210 million in 2023, over $3 billion more than 2022. We have new markets in different parts of the world. And due to our groundbreaking research, we have a very robust research team. We have been working with ICA, and you know at the last Agri Investment Expo, we have launched the zinc-enriched variety, rice variety, call it the Bi-fortified rice, and that name is GRD ICA 17 variety in October, where we are now growing zinc to supplement in the rice. For our scientists to continue on this path and conduct more trials, we have renovation of the plant breeding lab and at the Burma Rice Research Station. So we are enhancing that lab, and we are hoping that we can do more research and bring out better variety of these rice. We have constructed to date, over the last 3 years, 8 drying floors across the country, in various parts of the region. And we are now the Blackbush seed processing facility has started operation there. That was done for a number of years, and we have recently started out operation there, and that will produce close to about 6,000 bags of paddy for approximately 600 farmers in the Blackbush folder will be benefiting. And over the next few years, we will continue expansion of these rice processing facilities, these seed processing facilities across the country.
Another success story for agriculture in 2023 was the rejuvenated coconut sector, which has been expanding rapidly with value-added production, a vibrant new aspect of the value chain.
Coconut, coconut is another farm, and that's our article today is in the newspaper about the coconut industry. That is another success story for us. In 2023, approximately 40,000 coconut seedlings were produced, 1,274 additional acres came under cultivation, and 297 farmers from Region 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10 benefited from training in aspect of coconut production. This has resulted in approximately 10% increase in acreage in 2023 over 2020, with approximately 31,500 acres of coconut. And we have recently imported in the country 26,000 high-yielding Brazilian green dwarf seed nuts to boost Guyana coconut production capacity. And I want to anticipate this that I am telling you in one vein that we produced 40,000 coconuts locally, and we brought into the country 26,000 green Brazilian dwarf coconut. Well, the difference is that we are producing and we are working to increase this approximately 400 ml water in our coconut, and the Brazilian green dwarf is producing 750 ml. You can see the production level here. So we are trying to replicate that around the country, and in another year from now, we can have large quantities of those coconut seedlings across the country. So the 26,000 high-yielding Brazilian green dwarf seed nuts we have brought in to boost our production capacity. 216 farmers were contracted to cultivate this variety, a part of the National Coconut Decentralization Program. Coconut seedling are currently being produced at 10 nurseries that we built from 2020 till now. 10 nurseries across the country, and we have nurseries in Region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. And we are looking to build in other regions and boost capacity there. Also, we have seen value-added production with the fiber and coconut peat are now produced using coconut huts. A total of 8 fiber machines we have bought, and we'll distribute this shortly to farmers across the country, especially places like the Cameroon.
Turning to the livestock sector, Minister Mustafa disclosed that this sector displayed positive growth through the injection of $1.5 billion towards the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, GLDA, the agency tasked with overseeing the sector.
In the livestock sector, we have invested approximately $1.15 billion in 2023. We have seen continuous development in GLDA's genetic improvement program, under which 64 breeding bulls were imported from Texas. We are working with farmers. We have given farmers a number of farming groups and farmers those bulls so that they could improve their breed. We had a contract signed with a Brazilian company to do 350 embryo transfer. That program, we have already completed 50 of those 50 confirmed pregnancy, and we have now 300 more to do in the new year, hoping that we can have better breed there. We have seen an increase of 1,555 bovine artificial insemination were done compared to 1,212 in 2022. 19,000 acres of pastures were developed and upgraded in 5 regions, namely Region 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. We had 3 clean milk parlor built in Manripo, MMA, and Tarlagy, and we will start large-scale, once again large-scale honey production. Remember, we talked about forming a partnership with Cuba. Well, we have 3 specialists from Cuba will be coming to Guyana in the mid part of January of next year, next few weeks, to start our apiculture activity, the apiculture industry, which will commence in Region 1 and 9. And we will work in there with the, so honey will be a big thing for us.
With an allocation of just under $1 billion Guyana dollars in the 2023 national budget, the fisheries sector has also returned big numbers in terms of production and productivity.
In 2023, we have seen the highest marine production in the past 5 years, with over 42,000 metric tons. So, whilst there are views that we have seen a decline in fishing in the marine sector, we have seen an improvement here, and we have the officers at the back here who can testify and give the details. We have also started a new activity, which is a cage culture. We have presently 6 cages around the country, places like Mashabo, Mainstay, Kapoi, and these cages have already started to produce We have already had produced a tambiki from these cages, from the villages, and in the coming months, we'll have another 50 cages which are in the country already being set up at various points in region 2, 5, 9, and 10, right? Another 50 of those cages will be set up across the country. These cages, we are looking especially in the hinterland location that will boost the income of the village economy. Also, in the aquaculture area, we are now building 10. We will be spending approximately $100 million to construct 10 1-acre plots ponds. We have already started construction at Anvoak, and now those ponds are in the process of being putting lining in it. And in another month from now, those ponds will be in operation, and we'll start the production of prawns, fresh prawns, coming out of Anvoak. The brackish water shrimp industry is another success story. When we started out, the production of brackish water shrimp in our country was at 10,000 kilogram monthly. Today, we have raised that to roughly about 90,000 kilogram monthly. We have seen a massive increase in brackish water shrimp. We are working with these rural farmers. We are helping them to develop their plants, put in the various infrastructure, and also have our officers, the fishery officer, work with them so that they could put in the system that we want. And we are seeing now more and more demands for these species of shrimp, and we are seeing increased production. And this is a tremendous achievement for us in the brackish water shrimp industry. I am hoping that when the project would have completed in another 6 months, that we can increase production close to about over 120,000 kilograms monthly with the projects that are going on in that part of the country, region 6. There are demands and requests for this project to expand in various other regions, region 5, region 2, and other regions across, and we are working with those set of farmers.
In 2023, special emphasis was placed on further developing agriculture in Guyana's hinterland regions, transforming livelihoods at the village level. Through the Hinterland Extension and Sustainable Agriculture Development Project, HESADP, projects were executed that benefited over 28,600 persons from Region 1, 7, 8, and 9. For 2023, $739 million was budgeted to fund several developmental projects, which included infrastructural upgrades, irrigation, livestock, farming and agro-processing development, and training exercises on apiculture and climate-smart agriculture. Another big success story in 2023 has been the growth and expansion of the agro-processing sector in Guyana, a sector overseen by the New Guyana Marketing Corporation, GMC, an agency that was allocated more than $500 million in the 2023 national budget.
We have invested approximately $589.5 million to increase opportunity for our agro-processors and exporters. Export for January to November 2023, Guyana's exported of non-traditional agricultural commodities totaling 8,926 metric tons, valued at $1,862 million or 8.8 million US dollars. We are now in the state of constructing a food hub in Guyana on the highway, and we want to be the lead exporter in CARICOM. We have commenced work on the food hub. This will continue in 2024, aiding in the food supply chain and production processes such as cold storage, manufacturing, and processing capability in order to improve market access. In 2023, 130 new agro-processed products were launched in the Guyana shop. 54 new Guyana shop corners were established this year, bringing the total numbers in operation to 68. In 2023, the new GMC started developing 2 more agro-processing facilities in Oriala and Crabble Creek, and successfully commissioned 3 agro-processing facilities in various regions, Region 9, Region 10, and Region 2.
A critical aspect of government's developmental plan for the agriculture sector in 2023 was the Agriculture Diversification Program, which was significantly advanced and is already bearing fruit.
Diversification would also focus on the cultivation of citrus, spices, cocoa, coffee, onion. We are working aggressively to produce onions. As a matter of fact, we have a 10-acre now, a 10-acre experimental plot at the Nari, and I will invite the press when we'll do the reaping and harvesting shortly. And it's showing tremendous the growth that we are seeing there. I am thinking that if we can concentrate and we have this as a successful crop, we can produce all the onion need for our country needs. Also, we'll see we have seen in the Takama Savannah 750 acres millet will be cultivated. Remember when the president went to India, he made a commitment that we will start the cultivation of millet, and we have started to do that with the consortium that we have formed here, 750 acres of millet. We are continuing the trial for the wheat production. Right now, as I'm speaking, the trial are encouraging, but it's continuing. I'm hoping that we can have it as a crop to grow in Guyana. So these are the new crops we are looking at the experimental stage, and we'll continue to experiment to bring those into production. Recently, we had 2 specialists from India came to look at the coconut industry in Guyana. They are now compiling their report, and I'm hoping that very shortly we can have that report to implement the recommendation, and of course we will bring them back to help us to increase coconut production and coconut cultivation across the country.
The minister said government is now in the process of upgrading 11 nurseries in Nari, which will increase average seedling production from 200,000 to 500,000 seedlings. This is to allow for the availability and accessibility of new plant stock to address the existing demand. In the area of corn and soybean, private investors cultivated 10,000 acres of corn and soybeans in 2023, with projections for 26,000 acres by the end of 2024 and 30,000 acres by the end of 2025. In 2023, government continued its unwavering support for corn and soybean production and expansion with a wharf at Takama, adding to previous investment of the Takama Road and drying and storage facilities. With 2 new investors in 2023, being Santa Fe and Iring Integrated in Region 9, and another 2 new investors, Sheriff Group and Farmland Inc. in 2024, Guyana is on target for self-sufficiency to produce all the livestock feed and reducing dependency on imports by 2025. 2023 was also a year in which agricultural infrastructure development was significantly advanced, with more than $25 billion expended on advancing various aspects of this area.
One of our success stories is the DNI, Drainage and Irrigation, Farm to Market Access Road. And we have seen to date, we have 17 pump stations currently ongoing or are building across the country. Places like Quarantine, Adventure, on the Essequibo Coast, Region 3, right here in Region 4, different parts of our country. For the first time in the history of our country, we have constructed a conservancy in Region 10, where farmers now are benefiting from irrigation water in Region 10. We have built approximately 50-kilometer farm-to-market roads across the country. Places like Nabakalis, Victoria on the East Coast in Region 4, and remaining in Region 2, Takama in Region 10, almost 41 kilometer road in the Takama Savannah, where we have started the production of corn and soya. We are also doing roads in Region 3. We did road at my pony, we are doing road there for the first time. Those roads are being built where farmers are having better access to farm-to-market road there. Our fleets of equipment have increased tremendously, both from the NDIA and MMA. We have seen over the last 3 years, for example, MMA had 3 dilapidated excavators. Today, they boast a fleet of almost 8 of those excavators. There are 6 of those excavators at MMA. In the NDIA, we have seen a number of new equipment, things like the pontoon and excavator and pontoons in the Pomeroon. We have already built an excavator and a pontoon with 2 excavators in the Pomeroon, and we are now building a second one there for another pontoon with 2 other excavators. We have built cutter-edge dredges. These dredges are so capable of doing outfalls and go into the banks of the outfalls there because we are having tremendous siltation across the country, and we are hoping that we can build more of those cutter edge dredges. Also, we have seen a number of new excavators, both the long reach, the medium reach, and the mini excavators being procured by the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, and which are being working across the country, various parts of the country. We want to increase that fleet, and we want to make it more effective because you know for a fact that during the rainy season, and when we have the rainy season, there are demands for these machinery across the country.
Speaking to Guyana's role in CARICOM over the last year, the Agriculture Minister said Guyana has made several strides in advancing the interests of agriculture in several CARICOM states and is committed to ensuring that as a region, the 25 by 2025 vision is realized.
You know that we are now leading CARICOM. Guyana continues to play the leading role in agriculture and food and nutrition security. Since 2020, Guyana has emerged as a leader in CARICOM, advancing the agri-food system agenda. We are a leading voice in prioritizing food security and position in the agriculture sector. This was non-existent during the previous government. Guyana's leadership on the 25 by 2025 initiative by CARICOM, which is aimed at reducing extra-regional agri-food import bill by 25% by the year 2025, is evidence that agriculture is viewed as a mainstay of our economy and a fundamental development pillar for our future low-carbon development path. We have had already 2 agri-investment expos in Guyana, and we have seen from those expos many investors coming to Guyana to invest. We have developed an MOU with various countries in the Caribbean, and that will continue. As a matter of fact, as I said, there are requests to do a lot more in terms of helping other CARICOM nations developing their agriculture sector. The food terminal in Barbados, there's an area called the Brown Pond in Barbados. I visited there with the President and the Prime Minister of Barbados. Our job was to ensure that we work with them. We have Mr. Lionel, who is the chairman of NDIA, an engineer by profession, who work along with his counterpart in Barbados. We finished the design, and they are working now with a company from Trinidad, who are they are working to help with the construction of this food terminal. The Novo company, the Novo company in Trinidad that produces the dal, the instant bite and choke, these things. And so that is moving apace.
With regard to Guyana's progress in realizing the 20 by 2025 vision, Minister Mustafa, in responding to a question, said, Guyana is well on track to making a significant contribution to this vision, not only for itself, but for the region as a whole.
We are hoping that we will make a contribution in a number of areas. One of the areas is cornerstone we already started on. With the high value crop in 2021, we imported $2.6 billion in these high value crops. We have seen that drop tremendously. And these high value crops are things like carrot, broccoli, cauliflower, bell pepper, and a number of other of those things that we plant in the shade house. With the amount of shade houses over close to the 400 shade houses across the country now, we have seen a steep production of these material, these imports that these commodities that we used to import. So at the end of 2025, Guyana will number of crops. We are working on wheat production. If we can get a wheat to be a variety, find a variety to plant in Guyana, we will not import wheat. We will not import corn and soya. We will not import high value crops like I mentioned just now. We will not import hatching eggs that we talk about with the breeders program that we have. We will not import the kind of the variety of the special cuts, because we are now building an abattoir, one of the most state-of-the-art abattoir in Region 5, Anbawa, and we are working with the other organizations so that we can produce our own, cattle and beef, so to work here. So, and we are working with a company from Brazil that wants to bring in about 1,000 head of cattle to do work in Guyana. We're hoping that that program can start next year. Right? We are looking to produce all our spices right here in Guyana. I mentioned just now turmeric, black pepper, ginger, nutmegs. I'm looking to do onion. We talk about onion produce. So a number of areas that you can list it.
The Ministry of Agriculture advises that persons desirous of importing animal products, such as meats, must first acquire a permit and/or no objection to do so from the Guyana Livestock Development Authority (GLDA). Prospective importers must fill out an application for import license form. This must be handed in to GLDA along with a quotation from the supplier of the products to be imported, as well as a certificate of origin of the commodity. Meat and meat products must be from approved countries, and in cases where this is not so, then that country must apply directly to the GLDA for a permission to export to Guyana. In this case, a risk assessment is then conducted by the GLDA in association with the Veterinary Public Health Unit of the Ministry of Health. At the time of the application to GLDA, the importer must also indicate his or her interest in this regard to the Veterinary Public Health Unit, which plays a critical role in determining whether the license to import will be granted or not. If the import is allowed, the importer is notified by the GLDA. A fee is payable before the permit is prepared and issued to the importer. It should be noted that meat or meat products imported without an import license will be seized and destroyed. For more information on this and other issues, contact the GLDA head office on 220-6556 or email glda1910@gmail.com. Visit our Facebook page and leave a comment.
Farmers and the members of the public in general are being advised that tampering with drainage and irrigation structures in any way is prohibited under the Drainage and Irrigation Act. So too are practices that result in damage to access dams, such as using an inadequate length of tube to irrigate farmlands, resulting in erosion of the earthen dams. Also contrary to the Drainage and Irrigation Act is the practice of erecting structures or planting on government reserves. This will not be condoned. These reserves are to be clear at all times to provide access for the excavation of the channels. Livestock farmers should also be aware that they are liable for any damages caused by their cattle or swine to dams or reserves alongside D&I channels, as is the case when the animals cross these channels. Individuals wishing to erect bridges across D&I structures should first contact the NDIA before doing so. Those found guilty under the Act are liable to fines and imprisonment for up to 3 months. A message from the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture is warning members of the public that it is illegal to dump garbage of any kind near to or into drainage and irrigation waterways across the country. The NDIA, the agency tasked with the maintenance of drainage and irrigation in Guyana, has noted that there is an alarming increase in the incidence of garbage getting into D&I waterways and causing blockages in the first instance. But worse than that, the garbage that includes clothing, rotting carcasses, pieces of wood and metal gets past protective grills of the critical mobile and fixed pumps, resulting in damage to the pumps, which have to be taken out of service for repairs, placing communities at risk, especially during the rainy season. The Ministry of Agriculture notes that when this happens, millions have to be spent on repairs to the pumps and on clearing the canals of debris thrown there by irresponsible citizens. The ministry warns that rangers of the NDIA will be on the lookout for those engaging in this illegal practice. Persons caught will be made to face the full force of the law. A message from the NDIA Ministry of Agriculture.
Well, that's all the time we have on this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. Once again, on behalf of the Minister and the staff of the Ministry of Agriculture, and on my own behalf, Happy New Year. Do great things in agriculture, in your life in general, in 2024. And while you're about it, remember, be good to yourselves and to each other. Stay safe. Bye-bye.